finally. Whew. That was nerve-wracking because I couldn't get the stream to start, but it looks like it started. This is my first ever live stream. The reason I'm doing this is because the worst part about doing these picks videos is that I get tired of editing them. There's like really no point because there's not much to edit, but it's just annoying anyway. So I thought, why not just do it live, right? So here's where I am. This is my first ever live stream for a picks video, so here we go. So this is my college football model. By the way, I can't see the chat unless I actually click on it, so I'll have to check on it occasionally, but for now I'm just looking at my Excel file. So we got 17 games this week, had to take one out with Charlotte and North Carolina. So I guess just looking at these lines before I run the model, I think UL Lafayette is getting laying too many points. I think it should be about 14. I think that Liberty is not getting enough respect. I don't know why Western's getting so many respect. Same with North Texas. I think that line should be about 9, and it's 14. Navy, I think -7 is really generous based on how bad they looked in their first game. South Florida should probably be a 28-point dog. I think Tulsa should probably be about... They're a lot better than their 4-8 record last year, but I don't know what to think about that. But that's why I have a model, right? What I just did is I eyeballed, and that's a guaranteed losing strategy every time. That's why you have a model, and I'm running it right now. Not much to see yet. Once I go to the indicators tab, there'll be more to see. Right now it's calculating. I'll just look over to the chat. Alright. Just making sure there's nothing there. Alright, and we are running. We got some M factors of 0. So what the M factor is it's a column that basically determines how close the matchup is to the general mean overall, right? If it's 0, that means it's an outlier matchup. If it's 35, that's a higher number. That means the two teams are pretty average. So, going over to the indicators tab, we got the actual guts of everything. So, according to this, here's where the plays are. So if there's an X, that means it's a play. So we have an X for Georgia State money line. And remember when I was looking at the line, I was like, I think UL Lafayette's getting too much respect here. They could easily fall asleep after that Iowa State win. And my model thinks there's value on plus 550 on Georgia State, so it's going to be a play. So the keys did not change from last week. The keys are still 1, 1, 1 for blender, ATM, and penny margin. These three numbers right here, so you can see the edges right here. And ATM cover percent, which is this, is greater than 0. That's the key for ATS. So UL Lafayette actually meets 3 of the 4, but not the blender. And there's only one key for, there's actually 2 keys for the money line, and that is ATM win percentage greater than 0.58%, which Georgia State easily has. And the money line has to be -400 or lower. I bumped that up from -200 last year just so I can get some more plays in. So according to this, Georgia State is a money line play. Projected score about 45 to 31 for UL Lafayette, so the spread is pretty accurate. Maybe a little bit generous for Georgia State, but the money line value is where it's at for Georgia State. So moving on to the next matchup, we got Florida Atlantic and Georgia Southern. I really don't know what to think about these two teams, to be honest with you, but my model loves Florida Atlantic, ATS, and money line. So you have to go with that, I guess. Another thing I want to point out about my model is that one of the metrics I use in my model is a third-party metric that I borrow, and it hasn't updated yet this season. So it's still in preseason mode, which sucks, right? And I'm still using it, but if it doesn't update again next week, I'm going to have to phase it out, and that creates just a whole nother work that I have to do, because taking something out isn't as easy as it seems. Yes, you take it out, but you have to recalculate things. You have to run the regressions over again and get all the new intercepts and coefficients and all of that, and calculate new constants. So it's a time-consuming process to add or remove a stat. Probably a little bit easier to remove a stat, but it's still going to take an hour or two of work to get it out. But if they don't update, I don't really have a choice because I can't leave it in there while it's not updating. All right, Wake Forest and NC State. The Wake Forest has the advantage of playing last week, but NC State is the favorite here. My model actually doesn't have a play at ATS, but it does have a play on NC State money line at -125. I think that's fair. They beat the ATM by about 1% for the key there, so NC State on the money line will be a play. UCF and Georgia Tech. This reminds me a lot of that UCF Pitt game last year, where UCF was a 7.5 point favorite in that game, I think, or 10.5 or something like that, and they lost outright. Georgia Tech had the big win last week, so spread-wise, my model is all over UCF, Spread-wise, on the blender, which is all the same because remember M factor of 0 means things are pretty consistent across the board. But money line wise, it's 57.42. I think that needs to be thrown out actually. This is something I didn't account for. So this is a glitch. Like the first time I'm doing this live stream, so we still have to work the kinks out. But Georgia Tech money line is actually not going to be a play. I need to recalibrate the win percentage when there's an M factor of 0. It's throwing out the calculations. Let me show you. See, it didn't change from Wake Forest NC State. It's still 57.1, 42.9. So that Georgia Tech is actually not a play. So it's actually going to be no play on this game. I need to reconfigure the model to work with M factors of 0, which UCF will actually be the play here. So keep that in mind when I do the plays at the end. UCF spread minus 7.5 is the play. Boston College and Duke. We got no play here. Looks pretty even. Duke minus 6. Projected about a touchdown favorite here with my model, so really no value either way. Miami and Louisville. This is the ABC game of the week at night. Blender says Louisville by about a touchdown, but the ATM actually has Miami up by 4. So when you calculate those two things, the combo is actually right in line with the spread is, but the ATM actually likes Miami here. So we're going to play Miami plus 113 on the money line. Syracuse and Pittsburgh. Remember I said I thought Pitt was getting a little too much respect here. Well, my model agrees. Syracuse plus 21.5 and plus 1050 on the money line here. So my model is like, okay, yeah, not enough respect for Syracuse. Let's play them both. Appalachian State and Marshall. App State's a favorite, but my model actually likes Marshall on the money line at plus 165, which makes a little bit of sense. Spread's right in line with what the model's projecting, though. Liberty and Western Kentucky. Remember I said Liberty's not getting enough respect? Well, my model likes them on the money line here at plus 425. So we're taking some shots this week. I know I have one more game that has an M factor. Okay, it's Texas State and ULM. So Southern Miss and Louisiana Tech. My model likes Louisiana Tech at plus 173 here, which makes sense. I don't see why Southern Miss is getting this kind of respect after their first game, and Louisiana Tech was actually, expected to have a good team this year, so for them to be dogs doesn't make sense. All right, Texas State and ULM. Remember, we got to ignore it. Since it's an M factor of 0, we got to ignore the money line play, so it's not going to be UL Monroe. UL Monroe plus 6 is definitely going to be a play because all the keys meet. So UL Monroe plus 6 and UCF minus 7.5 are plays we need to add on the back end. SMU and North Texas. Remember, my eyeballing was correct. My model only thinks this is going to be about a 4 to 6 point game for SMU. So plus 14, plus 425 for North Texas makes sense. SMU did not look like world beaters against Texas State. And I think North Texas at worst is about the same as Texas State, if not better. So I like this one. Navy and Tulane. I don't know what to think about this. I think the money line's the best bet because Navy looked so bad in their first game because they hadn't been practicing. And Tulane did not look great against South Alabama either, but they still won. But I think minus 255 at home for Tulane is the safe play. Troy and Middle Tennessee. We got Middle Tennessee at home plus 3.5 on the money line. They did not look good against Army, and Troy hasn't played yet, though. We don't know what to think about them, but I don't like this one, but it is what it is, right? South Florida, Notre Dame, no play. Notre Dame meets 3 of the 4 keys, but not all of them, and they're too big of a money line favorite to play on the money line. But if there would be a play in this game, it would be Notre Dame if you really wanted to play it. Tulsa and Oklahoma State, no play again. The keys are split. 2 keys for Tulsa, 2 keys for Oklahoma State. Too big of a money line to play Oklahoma State there. Houston and Baylor. I think Baylor's getting too much respect here, but I don't think Houston is as good as their reputation leads them on to be. Whoops. And so I think 4 is a fair line. I think Baylor's going to take a step back from last year, but I don't think Houston is that good. So at home, it makes sense to play Baylor minus 4 and minus 180. And that is it. Let's go over to the plays. Remember, we got to take some out. We got to take out Georgia Tech and UL Monroe. And in case you didn't get my results last week, I went 4-2 against the spread and 3-1 on the money line for plus 0.066 units of profit. I had the K-State loss at minus 380, which sucked. But apart from that, it was a good week. So let's hope that stays going. Got a lot of money line plays this week, only 4 against the spread. So I don't want to risk that many units, same as last week, you know. So let's go ahead and put in, I don't know, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. And I guess just 0.2 across the board here. 0.33, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.55, 0.2, and 0.4. There we go. And our total units of risk for the week. $3.88, so a little bit more than last week. So here we go. These are the plays this week. I'll post a picture of this on my Twitter account if you can't see it, at WCLEISS. Let's see, looking at the chat, weather is not accounted for my model, not in college football. It's just a simple regression-based model. It's not that complicated. The thing with my college football model is if I actually showed you the internals of it and how it works, all of you probably had one of two reactions. You would either say, why didn't I think of that? Or you would call me a fraud because it's so simple. It really only uses 6 different stats, right? That's it. It's not like my baseball model. It's really complex, but my baseball model is a Monte Carlo simulation, so it has to be. But this is really just a linear regression based model. It's just, that's all it is, and it just uses 6 different coefficients. But the thing is, those 6, I keep them tightly under wraps because I don't want to give away my secrets, because it took a lot of research and everything to determine which 6 stats work well together in a linear regression based model. But like I said, one of them is a third-party stat that I borrow, and it hasn't updated yet this year. And so actually only 5 of them are current, which drives me nuts. Anyway, that's really all I have. This is my first live stream video. I hope it went well. If you can't see this, I'll put it at WCLEISS on Twitter if you can't see the actual plays list. But just going down the line, Florida Atlantic +2, Syracuse +21.5, North Texas +14, and Baylor -4. And I'm going to add UCF -7.5 in there as well because they were going to be a play. And also UL Monroe +6 for 0.2 as well. Remember, those are the 2 that did meet the keys on those M factor zeros, and I need to fix for next week. Remember, this is my first live stream. Things happen. I didn't have any M factor zeros last week, so I didn't run into that problem, which is why this is the first time. Basically, when there's an M factor of 0, it divides by 0 and it can't calculate percentages properly. And on the model, these 2 are based on percentages, and so that's why it didn't work. All right. Where's my plays tab? All right, so we got 6 spread, and we got Georgia State +550, Florida Atlantic +108, NC State -125, Miami +113, Syracuse +1050, Marshall +165, Liberty +425, Louisiana Tech +173, North Texas +425, Tulane -255, Middle Tennessee +145, and Baylor -180. Those are my plays this week. Total 4.28 units risked. So low stakes. I'm not going to up the units risk until this can show consistency. Even though it did have a good week last week, that was only like 10 plays. I need at least 3 or 4 good weeks before I commit to it more than that. All right. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This will be available to watch again on YouTube, and I'm posting these plays in my Twitter in case you can't see it. Until next time, this is Sports Betting Truth signing off.